It's good to see you.
What is up, you guys? This is All Danny Day 1 on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you a video on the top 5 characters that are easier to use for newer players. So this is just from my own experience and as well as other people's experience, other players, and from what I've seen other players play the most, and when I've asked other players which characters were easier, they all told me basically these 5 different characters. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and enjoy. So up first is Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is by far one of the best choices for both newer and older players. She's also one of the best, if not the best, farming character in the game because she has the best farming capabilities or farming abilities. So Scarlet is the best character to farm shield supply boxes as well as both farming operations for both the bonus chest. So for the bonus chest, that's going to be in your mission how you get 100 kills or 225 kills or 350 kills. Scarlet is going to do that the fastest because she can just go around one-shotting enemies. Although her boss damage isn't one of the best or super great, she can still dish out nice damage, and she's also capable, like I said, of being able to one-shot enemies, one-shot groups of trash mobs, as long as the enemies are not crowd control immune or bosses. Unfortunately, when it comes to doing trials or even raids, her one-shot capabilities, or just really anyone that can do insta kills, it won't be available. They won't be able to one-shot enemies anymore. They can still use the abilities. She can still use her abilities, but she will not be able to one-shot enemies in trials or in raids. But unless they change the raids from the way it works on PC to console, but I would doubt it. But other than that, she can use her abilities anywhere else. And also, even when in trials and you use her one shots, she can still stun enemies. So her signature or her Chaos Rift with her full Chaos power, Chaos energy, she can stun enemies. So she can just keep an enemy stun locked, which makes her really great for support. And then lastly is Scarlet. I would say she's a highly recommended character to have for mainly farming purposes or support. But she's also, she's a really fun character to play as. She's fun to use, really easy to level her up from 1 to 60, especially as soon as you get her Chaos Rift. That's when you're able to start one-shotting enemies. So about level, I want to say about level 10 is when you get her Chaos Rift. After that, it's a pretty solid, pretty easy game for her. And that's basically it for Scarlet. Next is Blade. So Blade is a really great, and he's a very well-known character for his massive, heavy-hitting signature. So as soon as Blade is able to unlock his signature at level 30, you probably most likely start hitting with his signature at 800,000 damage or more as soon as you hit level 30. So when you get your signature, you're not even level 60 yet, you're gonna probably hit over 800k. Blade does have a serum mechanic though, so what the serum mechanic does is it makes you starve. Your screen will start to go red, start having like veiny red mechanics around your screen, effects around your screen, but you would use your serum to take that off. There's 2 different talents that you have that effects for your serum. One of the talents elongates your serum's effect, so the serum lasts a lot longer, so that way you don't starve as much or as often. And the other one is you benefit from starving. You stack up bloodlust from starving, and stacking bloodlust lets you do more damage. But when you stack up your bloodlust, you would use your serum, and then that's when you get a bunch of damage. Now, the only problem is we can't see bloodlust. We can't see how many stacks of bloodlust we have. So that right there is going to be super tricky. It's pretty much a guessing game right there. For unlike Scarlet Witch, he doesn't have the greatest AoE abilities. Scarlet Witch does have one of the best AoE, but Scarlet Witch lacks single target. The thing with Blade is he doesn't lack single target. His single target is by far one of the best and strongest single target damage in the game. Not just that, but if an enemy or a bunch of enemies are lined up, he can pretty much one-shot most enemies that are lined up. Or even if they're kind of standing near each other, so somewhat close by each other, he can kill them in one go. So if you're really looking for a character that can, you know, one-shot enemies or one-shot bosses pretty much, or do heavy boss damage, not just boss damage, but just really to any enemy, then Blade is most likely going to be the character you're wanting to look for. So the next one is Black Cat. So the reason why I'm saying Black Cat is because she's literally the easiest character to play. At least in my opinion, she was by far the easiest character to ever play. Her trials, her both heroic and superheroic trials were super easy, and then her cosmic trials were just as easy. I mean, I was able to do it without any gear, really. I mean, I did it with blue gear, the light blue gear, level 30 to 40 light blue gear. Or no, level 20 purple gear with some blue gear. But, I mean, the reason why she's one of the easiest characters is her survivability is one of the best. She has 9 lives, and she can also go invisible pretty much anytime she likes. That 9 lives also helps you so much. You can die as many times. You can die up to 9 times in trials and still keep going, because I mean, those lives don't count as anything special. So if you're doing trials with any other character and you have an ability or a catalyst or anything that brings you back to life after you die, in your trials you would normally fail. But on here, that doesn't count as a fail. And then the next thing is she can also spam her bombs. She can spam up to 6 bombs. So three different bombs, but you have 2 charges in each bomb. And each bomb does a lot of damage. And the cooldown on those bombs are so fast. And they also do not take any of your resources. So that makes it even better. And they also don't break you out of stealth if you use that talent. And she also has a talent to where she has a 2% chance to insta-kill enemies when they're hit. So applying damage over time or bleed damage, anything that deals damage has a 2% chance to insta-kill your enemies. It'll insta-kill any enemy that is not crowd control immune or a boss. So she can definitely clear out mobs of enemies if she has damage over time going off like crazy. Not just that, but her signature as well makes her immune, and she starts to spam out bombs as well. And that right there can also apply the 2% chance to insta-kill enemies. Which again, I mean, she becomes super survivable and super strong with like that. And then, like I said, although Black Cat is not out for Splinters right now, she will be out eventually I would say in a week or 2, or maybe less than a month, sometime by the end of this month in August or the beginning of next month in September. But I can definitely vouch, and not just myself, but many other players can vouch that she's both fun and extremely easy to use. The next character is Iceman. So Iceman is great for melee, ranged, and summon. So if you're pretty much stuck on what type of character or what type of build you want to play, just realize that you have multiple different builds you can play with. You can go with the summon ranged, or you can go with the summon shatter, or ranged freeze, melee freeze. There's a lot of different possibilities with Iceman. Just know that any build pretty much works for him. Iceman summons are both strong and tanky, so he summons 3 golems, or you can summon up to 3 golems. Generally it starts off with 1, but later, as soon as you get your talents and whatnot, you can summon up to 3 golems, and they can dish out nice damage. And they can also take aggro, and they can take hits as well. They most likely will not die. And if they do, you can just summon them back again. As long as you're in combat, they'll summon. But it's not just his ice golems that are really good. He also can summon ice clones, Iceman clones. And the Iceman clones basically, I mean, they do half the damage that Iceman deals, which is even, I mean, in my opinion, is better than the ice golems. The ice golems can just take the aggro, but they can still do damage. Iceman clones, they don't take aggro, but they deal nice damage. And then Iceman, he can also freeze enemies. Obviously, he can freeze enemies as Iceman. But not just that, he can shatter enemies as well. So he has shatter capabilities. He has abilities that can do shatter. So generally you would want to have abilities that can freeze, like 2 abilities that can freeze and 2 abilities that can shatter. So that way you have a good balance of the two and a good rotation with them. But not just that, his shatter abilities don't count as ice or anything, it counts as energy. So keep that in mind. If you ever end up trying to build a shatter based build, you want to try to build a shatter build that has energy damage. And then the last thing is, oh well, also obviously the shatter build is going to apply extra damage. So that means it's not going to just be, you'll do freeze damage, but then you also have shatter damage. So it's just an additional damage. So the last thing is, the mechanics for Iceman are, it's very, very, very simple. It's pretty plain, super simple, but he's very, very fun to play with. His ice golems are really unique, not unique, but you know, they are super useful to Iceman, especially him already being pretty durable. Having ice golems, being able to take the aggro away from him and, you know, deal damage as well as being a tank helps even more. And now you don't necessarily need to have ice golems, but they do make it easier for you. So that'll just keep that in mind. And then yeah, so that's it for Iceman. So the last character on this list is Rocky Raccoon. Rocky Raccoon is by far one of the laziest characters in the game, but that's in a great way because he's super, 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 super easy to play with. All you have to do is just throw your summons out, just throw out a few bombs or whatever abilities that you plan on using, and then use Groot. So you're pretty much using all your summons, letting all your summons do all the work for you, and you will obviously still do damage with whatever ability. For example, Big Flarkin Gun. That'll do a lot of damage as well, but your summons is what's going to do the majority of your damage. Not just that, but I mean, he can summon like a billion different turrets. But I mean, in reality, he's summoning up to, I believe, 8. Yeah, he's summoning up to 8 different turrets that he has. Well, three different turrets, but 2 of them can summon up to 3 times, and another one can summon up to 2 times. And then, not just that, but he also has Groot to come in and help him deal damage. So he has 9 different summons. Rocket's summon, he doesn't necessarily deal a lot of damage, but, I mean, him himself doesn't deal a lot of damage, but his summons deal damage. But they don't just deal damage, they can also buff yourself or buff your team. That makes him, in my opinion, that makes him a really great support character, as well as a really great DPS character. Next is, his summons have a large radius, damage radius. His turrets have a large damage radius. And the fact that you could summon multiple different turrets is crazy, because he can pretty much block a whole screen up by, you know, he can apply multiple different summons. He can apply 3 in one corner, 3 in another, and then 2 on the bottom. So he has the whole battlefield to his for his playground, as a playground for himself. And yeah, so if you're really looking for an easy summoner, then Rocky Raccoon is going to be by far the best choice, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, but to many others. He is the easiest character to complete trials with, or to complete operations, or to do whatever with. And just a big hint or tip, not hint, but yeah, just a little tip. When you're doing your trials at level 60, you get your ultimate. You're allowed to have your ultimate, and in trials, him and Jean Grey can use their ultimates. So just keep that in mind when you go ahead and do your trials, because that is a big thing that I mean that anyone can use, that can use to your own being, I guess.